Hello, this is Brendan, and for those of you who watch my shows regularly, I guess I should apologize if you were watching or waiting for another episode. It has been a long, long time. According to, I believe, YouTube dates or whatever, it's been about almost 3 or 4 months, which was not planned at all. And yeah, as you know, I do these drawing videos here. So, yeah, there's a reason for that. It had to do with work, business, and life, and all that stuff. And all for the better, all for the better. But now, hopefully, can get back to this, my regular videos, and it'd be great if I can have it done on a weekly basis from now on. Most likely on the weekends, of course, because I'm working these days too on various things and have a lot of projects to do. What I'm going to do today is go over this character design that I'm working on and nitpick on some little things with a comic book page I'm working on. This is for a comic book called War Torn, which will be coming to a publisher near you sometime soon in the future, hopefully by the end of this year. It's a long book, not just a comic book, a graphic novel, actually, and we're guessing at the moment it'll be somewhere between 100 and 150 pages. I think 100. I got up to page 50 in sketch mode, and that seemed to be about the halfway point based on the script. So that's what we're looking at. Let me zoom in here. I got to keep in mind sometimes when I look at the videos afterwards that a lot of people watching this on YouTube or through the web, however, it will end up, I have a cold by the way, sorry, it'll be on a smaller resolution, usually in that little YouTube player. Also keep in mind you can, you know, if you're in there, you can go to full screen mode at any time, I guess. And for those of you on tablets and stuff, I'll do my best to zoom in when I can. Keep up with the comments if you have any questions. I've been getting a few comments coming in every once in a while, and I like that, appreciate it. Any questions you have about drawing. I'm just panning around here looking at this image while I speak. Let me get back to the image I was looking at earlier. This is one of the comic pages, and I spoke with the writer, the author, about this, that we agreed it'd be good to go ahead and show some of this stuff, a little peek here and there of some of the pages, and you know, make videos like this would be good to for promotion. Not to give it all out there, of course, but because we want it to be an exciting and unique experience when you go to read the book for the first time. But here's one page. It's not a big deal, where this character Heather comes in for, I believe, the first or second time, but you get a better view of her face on this page anyway. And she's a girl, and we have some, I had a character description for her of what she looks like. Maybe a little boyish was kind of the thing, but she had long hair because she has a small chest and a small waist was in the description. So I have to work with that, and long black hair and white skin. So that's just how she is. And what they're doing is they're getting ready to play paintball, so they have these guns in their hands. And there's this big dude here who's mysterious, and we'll find out about him later in the book when it's finished. You'll get to read that. So I'm working on a character design. The reason I want to make the character designs, and it's important for comics, is you're not looking at photographs of people. You're looking at... I'm going to start drawing while I'm talking about this too. You're looking at... I'm going to sketch, yeah. You're looking at drawings of people, not obviously not photos, and as comic books go, we don't really have time to take photos of somebody, and you know, that's the whole point of a comic, is to make it a little bit cartoony and but still realistic in a way that you can recognize the people. So as the pages go by, let's look at something, an exaggerated example. If you were to look at a cartoon like South Park, for example, if you take off their clothes, the characters pretty much all look like the same, right? They have circle eyes and circle heads and this and that. But in a comic book, and especially in a black and white one such as this one, which you know, we're still considering whether or not we're going to go color, it gets hard to distinguish the characters if they're all cartoony looking, right? So we have to go in and worry about some of the details and basically characteristics to make them look like characters, right? You look at the similarity with the words there, character and characteristics, so that they're recognizable on every page. Now here's a female character with long hair, and she stands out on this page, obviously, which is great. But what if later on there's more female characters all standing around, and what if they too happen to have long hair? Well, there has to be something to help you to distinguish them, you know, to make it easy to distinguish them without, you know, having to rely upon something like just color and and stuff like that. God knows, maybe what if they're all wearing uniforms? Maybe it's a bunch of girls who, I don't know, first thing that comes to my head is like works at Denny's or something. A bunch of Denny's employees, they happen to be female, and they're all wearing the same uniform, and they all happen to have long hair, because that's the fashion at the time. But I still want to be able to recognize them individually. So some of these characteristics become very important, the details in their face and stuff. And luckily humans are good at that. That's one skill we have, right? So we can recognize very, very fine details. You have people who are twins. They fundamentally are exactly the same, I guess. I don't know if like genetically if that's true exactly, but they fundamentally look exactly the same, but sometimes you can still distinguish them. Sometimes it's hard, but sometimes even with just tiny little differences, tiny little bit of difference in like the facial features, the maybe it's something in their teeth or their facial expression, very minute differences, you can still tell them apart. Okay, there's something weird about the eyes here. So that's what I'm trying to do with these character sketches. When I make these sketches, what I'm going to do afterwards is refer to them every time that the character comes up in a panel in the book. I'm going to go refer back to this sheet here and just remind myself of the details that make this character distinguishable. And I have to invent these things sometimes, because the author, like any book you read, they don't always go into deep detail about what their eyes look like and stuff. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. So in this case, I decided to give her, and this was just because I was walking around the city today. Maybe I was at a Burger King, and I saw a pretty girl, but she happened to have a distinguishing feature, which is sort of like, I don't want to say bags under the eyes, it sounds kind of negative, but she has, it's a very normal thing. If you walk around a city, you see people are tired sometimes, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're happy, but sometimes a person will just have, sort of like these indentations under their eyes, and it's a distinguishing feature. So I decided to use that for her. I'm going to have that there. It's just a facial feature, and it's interesting. Something unique that makes her pop out. Another thing I decided to go with is what I called a pug nose. I even wrote these things down over here. I gave her, as it says here, a pug nose, wrote in the bottom. Short hair fringe. The fringe, for those of you who are using American English, fringe is a British word I decided to use. It's also American, it's universal, which is why I use that. But in America, some people would only refer to this area here as the bangs, that part right in the front of the hair. But it's also called the fringe. So, yeah, I just learned that myself recently. And a small mouth. Well, relatively small, not super small. And so, yeah, that's some of the details. I just wanted to clean this up a little bit. Let's get into here. The reason there's this white area going around here is because this is a template, and I'd previously drawn another character on this same, basically within this same file. And I'm using a GIMP here, by the way. GIMP. It's a free software. And so I just, in order to make it easy, I didn't want to have to redo all of this background and stuff. I just deleted that character, and then that was some of the residual stuff. My idea was just to put white behind them to make them stand out a little bit. Okay, so I'm back into the sketch layer here, and I am in erase mode. I have my hotkeys all set up here, so it's real easy to I do something like that, like scribble around to make sure that my pen is working, and then just tap a key and undo it. It's a great thing about digital work. I don't want that there. Her nose is a little weird. This is actually even good enough already. It has all the features that I need. Her eyes are not exactly how I want them to be. I need this to come down a little bit. Yeah. It's kind of like a plateau there. Stereotypical word I overuse too much in my videos, but a lot of stereotype things here. Since she's a girl, I'll give her big eyelashes for the pretty eyes, thinner eyebrows. Is that the right word? Yeah, eyebrows and eyelashes, and the lips, kind of kiss me lips, a little pudgy like that, so they come out like that. Yeah, and that's why I have these little lines here. The front of the mouth in this area here has muscles in it, and so that part will pop out a little bit. I don't want to go into too much detail about that, but basically you have a round part around there. We have muscles, and that's where you can have the cheek. If you're doing this sort of side view, it's a quarter view, 45 45%. It's not profile view and it's not front view. With this quarter view or 45-degree angle view, you'll always see the cheek coming out a little bit, and then there should be a little tissue where the mouth is, and then down to the chin like that. It's not always like that, but depending on, that's another thing that can depend on the character. She has a small mouth, and so that makes me think that she should have a lot of muscle around in this area. It's just something I noticed. And just touch that up a little bit there. Okay, so she looks slightly like a smirk is on her face or something. Again, something good for a girl to keep her cute in this situation. She happens to be, I haven't noticed anything in the script so far that says she is like a menacing character or any sort like that. She's just, she seems to be kind of friendly, explaining, helpful along the way. So, yeah, just decided I don't need those lines. And now I'm going to do her body. So a lot of stuff I could clean up here. If you're doing a professional illustration, which this is not, this is for my own personal reference, which made it good, for this this tutorial here. Or not even tutorial, technically speaking. I'm just randomly doing stuff just for fun. Yeah, a lot of stuff like where these lines. I have some old lines here. There was foundation that was supposed to be where her head was, just showing the back of her head. That stuff should get erased out, and you should never have lines like this, like crossing over each other. Just that stuff needs to be worked out. But for these purposes, it's okay. And her mouth looks a little weird, chin a little big. Anyway. Good enough. And I always do a little flip real quick. This helps to, see how here this happens from like lazy handedness and even a bit of lazy eye sometimes. I have a slant here. There's a slant here and a slant there. That's and this a slant here, which causes a feeling of imbalance. Right? It feels like everything is sort of coming down in this direction like that, and that happens a lot because I'm using my left hand for starters, and that imbalance comes from the angle that my hand is writing at, which is trained to us from kind of an early age. So to undo that imbalance, let's see which way it was going this way, and it's hard to see if you never flip it. Thank God we have that flip tool. I almost feel like I'm cheating sometimes. But yeah, let's undo that imbalance and like bring some of this out. Let the hair just kind of fall out that way a little bit, or maybe this angle here to counter. Right, we're trying to counter this angle, so I'm going to come out this way a bit. A little bit of a cough today, mixed with some indigestion. Too much Burger King earlier. Can't blame me. They have good burgers. Let me bring this angle out a little and move the chin. So now she gets a dimple in her chin, just for the sake of countering that balance, countering that angle. The hair come out here a little, and this come back like that. That might work out a little better. Let me see. I hit the button. Oh, wrong button. This button. Yep, a little better. A little better. The reason I don't just go ahead and start drawing while I'm over in this mode is because when I do that, well, maybe I can, but these in the GIMP, when you flip it in reverse, what used to be the this text area over here, see, I can go in here and keep writing stuff like that, but after you reverse it, that becomes a static layer, and so I don't want that to happen in case I want to change some of that text layer later. Not the biggest deal. Erase some of this here. Okay, yeah, I really have no need to nitpick on this. Like I was saying, I just leave it how it is, and I'm going to move on to drawing her body. This video is not intended to be real long. Try and keep it within a half hour. Usually I ramble on a bit too much, and that's hard to do. I also have to do this all in one go, or I can stop the video at any point and get back to just stop it and then continue it again. I do that sometimes. but I prefer to just have it all in one go. It makes life easier. Now, remember what I was just saying about that lazy hand thing. It's something I really got to keep in mind myself. And I guess the best thing to do is sit up straight, make sure that you're doing all your lines here. Some people can probably just whip out a person. If I were to go my fastest, just do a super sketch. Here's her arms and her legs, and it just doesn't work for me. I have to take my time and do all these sketches. It doesn't take that long too either. It's okay. Even though she's supposed to, according to the description, she's supposed to have skinny, like a small waist and a small chest. Which basically, I guess the point we're saying that is like she doesn't have big boobs, and she's not very voluptuous. She's kind of like skinny and boyish, right? It's actually the words skinny is right here, the first word in there. Oh yeah, I gotta remember to zoom in. That's her description, right? She's just a skinny person, so not having all that voluptuous features, a little boyish, tomboyish. Which makes sense because she's going out to play paintball with these guys, I guess. I don't know if that's politically correct, but oh well. I was watching some video that was on today that was showing... well, before I go into that, I just want to say, even though that's the case, I'm still going to do a little bit of this because by the nature of being female, she still has to have a little bit... both here and here, the curves have to come out for her hips because girls just have bigger hips. That's all there is to it. Whereas guys would have the masculine V kind of thing going on like that. But for her, I'm going to do a little bit of hip coming out. Okay. And so I was watching there's a show called Saved by the Bell, which I guess it was popular enough in the 90s that even today, and I was a 90s kid basically, so even today, people know about this show. It's been spoken about enough. And they had this funny little clip with a girl, including a girl from, sorry I don't know her name, was it Mazzy or something? A British girl who's in that show Game of Thrones. Yeah, I'm just not keeping up with current events. I know the show, I recognize the girl's face, but yeah, sorry I forget her name. And just showing the reactions of teenage people watching Game of Thrones right now. And it was funny how like some of the comments that they would make, they thought it was for a 90s show. It just seems normal to me, a lot of stuff that they say, like picking on like geeks and nerds the way that they did, but I guess they found it to be a version of like racism or something, the way that they profiled people and with their stereotypes, like these white geeky skinny nerds, and the jocks were real jockey and all that stuff. So if you get that feeling or feel offended or anything with anything I say, all I can do is apologize. I do come from that generation. I don't think I think too much like that, though. I mean, you have to admit the reason I'm doing this, and this is the arts, it's even a law in America. I'm not sure if everybody knows this, but it's a law that you are allowed to be almost would be considered racist when it comes to the arts, because that's necessary. What if I'm doing a movie about that has something to do with black culture and black people? Maybe it's a historical film about the days of slavery, or other things with modern black culture, whatever it is. Well, then you would have to, if you want to hire someone to play a black role, then in the job, what do you call it, the job advertisement, or the description of the person you're looking for the job, you would have to specifically state that you need a black person for that role. Likewise, if it's a female. Now, you can't get away with that if you're looking for a secretary and you want them to be female. That's technically supposed to be illegal. I'm not sure, if people really follow that law, but yeah, you can't discriminate sexually, and you could never put out a job for like, I want an engineer in my company, and you must be a white guy, right? That would be like completely racist, and that's illegal. But with art and with movies and film, you can do that. And so the reason I'm saying that is when you're dealing with art too, I have to face these what might be socially considered uncomfortable thoughts. Black people do look different from white people because of a set amount of reasons, and I have to consider that if I want a black character to look black when I'm drawing them. And same goes with female and everyone else. These are just scientific facts. And so what's interesting about that is, since I have to face that, and then my viewpoint on a lot of these things, I think people get way too sensitive sometimes about if you were to say something like people of this type of race have this type of characteristic about them, it might be true. It might actually just be a fact, and these things, there's really no reason to get angry about it. So as I'm doing this, I'm constantly zooming back and forth. I'm looking at like the distance from here to here. Is it the same as there to there? Here to here is it the same as there to there? Doesn't need to be perfect. In this case, this foot is pointing out that way a little bit, so it'd be normal to see a little bit of the back of her leg muscle there. So you can see it's a little thicker here. And I didn't actually plan that, but I just noticed it, and I said, okay, leave it like that. There's little thoughts like that come along the way. If it makes sense, then just leave it as it is. This is a guy, of course, I might make a little bulge right here, but I'm not going to do that because it's a girl. In the beginning, the scene where she first comes into play, she's actually wearing a vest, but I imagine her to have a shirt like this, kind of like short around the waist, showing off a bit of skin, being a girl, wanting to look sexy and all that stuff. And then just jeans as usual, no belt, simple clothing because she has that tomboy appeal to her. Short t-shirt. Her arms look a little long and lanky. Why is that? Well, they are. That's basically the thing. She is a skinny girl. But this forearm here, it's almost like a female version of Popeye. It's like way too long. I'm just going to redo that. Which is a reason that I didn't go into detail with the hands at this point yet. Hands are hard to draw, and you don't want to have to redraw them. The things like that, you start off with like little stumps like that. And then when I get them in the right place, yeah, it looks better. Then I can go back and do that. Now this is sketch phase. If I were to go, want this to look professional and finished, when I'm done with this sketch phase, I would turn this down to, a lower opacity, add another layer, and draw over it with a nice straight, thick black line. But in the sketch phase, you can, that's what I like about this phase, you don't have to worry too much. And I actually prefer this sketching, whereas a lot of people, maybe they think when the sketching's done, that's the easy part. All you have to do is trace. I actually dread that part. I did not have a steady hand. I don't like to focus and concentrate. Well, it requires, let's put it that way, it requires focus and concentration for me to do straight lines, and especially with like beautiful curves and all that stuff. So I actually enjoy this phase where I can just be free and loose and let things fall around. And if I had my way, I'd probably just leave it like this. I'd publish a whole comic book with these rough drawings like this. I kind of like it myself. But that goes back to also if you're a beginner, which happens a lot with people who enjoy these types of videos because you like to learn stuff. So I'm trying to give out, I don't want to say it's a tutorial or educational on a scholarly level because I'm not, the person to say that. However, I do think that I have that I've taken college level courses and advanced level drawing courses, and I do fare very well. I do have the knowledge and education. You could use these, technically speaking. You could use these videos as a good educational resource, I'd say, for drawing, at least for drawing. But I might be wrong. The reason I want to say, not to depend upon them is because I can be wrong sometimes about the anatomy and perspective and stuff. I have little mistakes here and there. I mean, what would you call it, intellectually speaking, or just when it comes down to the facts, some of my facts are wrong sometimes. But as far as getting the job done goes, you can follow this as a good beginner tutorial. What was I saying? Totally forget. Oh yeah, I basically was talking about these videos and what a good tip is. This, the tip I was saying about starting off with the sketches and then going over it with another layer, that goes back to my early education with drawing too, which was basically to start off with a pencil, sketch it, and then go over it with a pen. And of course, when you go into the pen mode, be real careful. You use the pencil and the eraser, and you erase and you sketch and you erase and you sketch until you get everything just where you want it, and it looks, well, as perfect as it can be. But you can leave it a little rough. And then when you come in with a pen, you really just, make straight lines and make everything as it should be. So it doesn't have all these, like, as you can see here, all this like sketchiness around all the line work. Although when you zoom out, it still looks okay. And it's about that. Hold on for a second. I need a sip of water to clear my throat, and I'll be right back. Okay, back. And another thing with this I wanted to point out, it's probably self-evident. I don't know if I even have to say this, but we're doing this just as a reminder to her general stature is over on this side here, and over here this is a close-up of the face. And I decided to use that just 1-2 method there because I don't know, it's all you need really. Like, do I need to know what her back looks like? If you really want to go into detail and it's like super professional and try to impress a client, I guess you'd show like the back view. But there's really no need because it's not like a warrior who has all this complicated like armor and stuff on him. It's just a t-shirt. I think we can pretty much assume what her back looks like, unless you need a detailed view of the exact shape of her butt so you can recognize her from behind. I don't think that's necessary. It's only a cartoon, a comic. And so, yeah, this is enough. I get the detailed features of her face and what she looks like overall, in the full body mode. So that way she's recognizable. And I will refer to this when I draw another female. This one's name is Heather, by the way. Probably should have, well, you probably noticed that earlier. But, yeah, and so there's going to be another one. Her name is Jennifer. And Jennifer is different. I think she has big waists. Big chest and a small waist. So she'll have like big boobs or something. And she has different hair. She has curly hair, and her skin is a little darker. Can you tell right now when you look at her that she's fair in skin? Well, I'll let you be the judge of that. I did, even though I said you have to be not a racist, but you have to be racially aware, genetically speaking, of some of the features of different types of people. So even though that's true, but I don't want to speak about those things out loud. It just feels uncomfortable. But I try to make some of her features just, generic features that you'd expect from any kind of white girl. Although she comes out looking a bit Asian, doesn't she? Because she has kind of like teardrop eyes and some other things that she could pass as Asian, or maybe she could even be black for all I know. I think it wouldn't look natural if I put black, brownish skin on her. But you never know. You have people like that too, right? In America, we have a melting pot and all different types of people around the world. Oh well, I better stop talking about that before I get in trouble. And here's, that's finished for me. That's all I need. Even like if we're to zoom out like this, that's good enough, right? Even a small version. I could play with it some more, but I'm not going to. Long straight hair, those particular facial features as I wrote them here. I'll give it a flip one more time. See how awkward it looks. As usual, as expected, I did the lopsided thing. You can just feel it. There's a slant here, a slant there, and everything. If I were to make a straight line, everything has a slight tilt to it, just like that, right? What I'm going to do now is I'm going to forget about that text, and I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of the fact that I can flip this around, and that text will just stay as it is. That's fine. And yeah, because I hate to leave that like that. I hate when things. So I just want to counterbalance that slant, and what I can do is take some of these lines here, bring this one in, bring that out like that, or go out like that. As a result, some of her proportions might change just a little bit. And you see, like for example, to try to explain, because I'm left-handed, so if I were to write my name, something like this, right, Brendan, it always has that slant to it, and you're trained that from a young age, and you write so much. Well, we used to anyway. I don't know if nowadays everybody just types, but your hand just, you do so much writing, and even if you're an artist, you probably, it takes many, many years to work that habit out of you of being on that slant. And so one thing is you should hold your pen in a different way, which I don't. Another thing is you should, probably sit up straight and all this stuff, and not rest your arm against the table. All the things that I do, right? So I break all the rules what I should be doing as an artist, and now I have to compensate for that. Her head's just tilted this way, so what I do is like this, come out here, bring that out there. Yeah, it's not necessarily easy. Of course, with her being so far away, there's not much I can do with the details of the face. And you can just feel it. See right here how, like, you can notice it kind of comes up this way, and then almost like an egghead thing going there. You can just feel it. So let me bring this part out and shave that part back a little. Yeah. That helps a lot. Now the reason I feel this is cheating, obviously, is because in real life, let's say if I were doing an oil painting or just drawing on paper, you don't have that luxury of being able to flip it. Just be able to, what do you call that? It's called a horizontal flip, right? You can't just flip the paper around like that at any given time. And by flipping it like this and noticing these types of mistakes with time, I should be able to, because I stopped drawing for many years, and there's a lot of stuff that I have to catch up with. With some time, I should be able, see, here you can feel the slant again. Look at the hair right here in that area. It's going this way, that way. There's just so many spots where that exact angle slant comes out, and it's enough that you can just sense that angle coming out, and you don't want that there because it's just basically laziness of my hand. It doesn't do anything to portray the character accurately. The most important part to keep in mind too is the eyes and the head area, because that's what people do. They gravitate to look towards a head first, or the eyes to be precise. And you'll hear that if you're studying other artists' videos or studying art for a while, you'll hear that said again and again, or I hope you do. If you're watching quality content, they should say that, is that mostly people's eyes just tend to gravitate towards other eyes. Even if you're looking at an animal or anything, you'll look straight at their eyes. If you suddenly see a cat or a dog outside, or if you're in the wilderness, and even if you just see 2 points of light next to each other, let's say it's dark outside, and you suddenly see 2 points of light, with a certain distance from each other, what are you going to do? Like, your brain, your mind will just assume that those are two eyes with light reflecting off them. It's an instinct for your body or your mind to look for eyes. And that's about that. Now I'm just filling in some color here, nothing important. Filling in blackness. I almost want to start coloring and shading this as an instinct, because I've done that many times. Little details I could fill in all day long. These eyes are not good, but I don't know. Sometimes I just give up and leave them how they are. It's a sketch anyway. They have most of the features that are needed. I don't know. Is there one thing I could do that, one little trick, to see exactly what the problem is? The pupils or the retina here, is that what's wrong with them? Maybe that'll help. There we go. That was good enough, yeah. Just a lighting problem. That makes it a little better anyway. So that's that. I'm going to leave this video just here. That's it. I'm done. And next one, I'll go into a comic book page. If you're interested, I'm actually going to draw. I might have sketched the page out already, but I'll go through that process with you, how I make a comic book page from getting to the script onto the page, and then I'll show you some of the drawing process and how I make the panels and all that stuff, and give you some insight of how to do that. If you're interested, if you're not subscribed already, please do. If you want to keep in touch and ask any questions if you have. Random comments also appreciated. Just be nice. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.